I'm going to be very nervous uploading this video once I've eventually edited it, but it is a topic that I have been wanting to discuss on my channel for a fair bit, mainly because yes, it's a taboo topic and I do like tackling taboo topics. I am in a position where I have a lot of people who watch me, and I have that very precious opportunity to talk to a lot of people, and I would like to make use of that by discussing things that people don't like to discuss. I just feel like if there are people out there who don't want to openly talk about stuff, but I can do that, then I want to make the most of the opportunity. I don't know if any of that made sense. In the news recently, there has been some discussion on lowering the amount of weeks a woman can be pregnant before she is allowed to have an abortion. I'm not really going to be discussing that necessarily, but seeing some various chat shows discuss it and stuff has made me wonder whether anyone else online was talking about it. But when I did a little bit of research, it doesn't really seem that a lot of people on YouTube are discussing abortion in general, which of course has its reasons which I'm probably going to find out after posting this video about it. But I'm going to be manning the comment section for this video in particular, and I'm going to be approving comments which I see as necessary, so don't worry about that. But a lot of people have asked me several times in the past to discuss this and talk about how I feel about it, my opinions on it, and sure, like, I'm happy to, and let's get into it. Although a lot of people won't be very comfortable talking about this, I feel as though I am, and I feel as though my opinion on this is okay to share because of the fact that I am so sure about how I feel. Whereas with things that I kind of believe in but aren't comfortable enough to talk about, I would probably not put that online because I don't feel as sure about what I think and why I think it, etc. Whereas with this, I have always been, and probably more so now, I've learned more and looked into stuff more and just, you know more as an adult. I have always been pro-choice, and that basically means I feel as though people should be allowed to have the choice and to choose what they wish to do with their body. Being able to have the choice and have the option and freedom to have an abortion is necessary, because if it was not, if we were in a world which actually existed not very long ago, where we cannot go somewhere safe and legal to get it done, just because it's illegal, just because we don't have that opportunity, we don't have that option to call someone and like go ahead with an appointment and to get it done safely, that doesn't mean that people will stop wanting abortions. It doesn't mean that once it's made illegal, everyone will suddenly think, well, I don't have an option, so I'm just gonna go and have the child. That's not the way that it will work. The way that it will work, and the way that it used to work, is that because there is no option for people to choose, they will still want what they wanted, which was an abortion, and they will carry it themselves, or they will do it illegally, which is dangerous. It can kill the mother, it can seriously harm her for life. It could be very, very dangerous. I feel that there will be a lot of you watching this who disagree with what I say, and that is completely fine. But one thing I want you to consider is that you may not agree with what these people are doing. You may not like the fact that abortion is an option in your country, or you might not like that this goes on in the world. But at the end of the day, if you were to remove that right people have to their own body, if you were to remove the places people can go to have this treatment done, it's still going to happen, but there is going to be more danger associated to it. And that's something I really don't understand. Like, I get that it upsets you, I get that you don't want to think about it, I get that you wouldn't do it yourself if you are against it, but what they choose to do does not concern you. Like, your opinion is valid and so is theirs. And like I said, you may not agree, you may not understand, but the fact that is the way the world happens to be. We are lucky enough to have that privilege. Wouldn't you rather us live in a world where we have that option to safely, rather than banning people from being able to do it and then putting them in a position where they're still going to do it, but in a much more nasty way and in a way that you don't want to imagine. I'm not going to go into the methods people use when they don't have the option to go somewhere to get it done, to get treatment done properly, but it's not something you want to be thinking about, regardless of whether you understand why someone does it or not. It's still going to happen. It's whether you choose that people can have it safely or whether people can have it in a very heartbreaking, concerning way. We don't agree with a lot of things that people do in the world, right? But we can't stop the way people choose to live their life or what they decide to do in all sorts of different cases. But in this case, I would personally rather people have a safer way to do it. And I think in relation to that, people assume that it is such like an easy, walk in the park, and people think, I don't want someone just to be like, oh, I've got the option there, so I'm just going to be more reckless and carefree. Abortion isn't like fun and games, It's not as if someone could just walk into a building and get it done and walk out. Like, it's a process. I've never had like personal experience of it, so I don't want people assuming that, but it's not like you have this quick fix. It can take a lot of therapy, and it can take a lot of life-changing decisions, very difficult discussions with people. It takes decisions that will change the rest of your life. Like, it's not, for 99% of people, a decision where it is abused. And I think that there are a lot of people out there who assume that people who go ahead with abortions are terrible people or nasty people or horrible people. That being said though, it's important to me to mention abortions should never be a contraception method, and I think that anyone who associates abortion to that are ridiculous, and I would totally understand why somebody would be upset if they discovered anyone who was using it as a method of contraception. It is definitely not. It is something that is available to you if you fall into a situation that was unpredictable and was not supposed to happen. For instance, a lot of people who are against abortion would say that that is what contraception's for. If you don't want a baby, use contraception. Well, funnily enough, contraception doesn't always work. If you look at the effectiveness of most contraceptives, there will be a good 20-30% ineffectiveness, which is pretty terrifying. There are a lot of people out there having sex, there are a lot of people out there on contraception, and that might fail, and things like that happen, unfortunately, and that couple was actively working towards not getting pregnant. And though some may say, okay then, if a couple doesn't want a baby, then they simply shouldn't be having sex, then I think they should be reminded that there are some cases, which are awful cases, where we simply have not chosen to have sex. Rape is a terrible, awful, disgusting thing that happens in the world we live in, and I am so strong about anyone who believes the consequence of rape is not a big enough reason to have an abortion. Like, shame on you for believing that. I've just got no words for that. I will not understand anyone's argument for that. I get that people will say it's not the child's fault, it's not the baby's fault. Like, how would you feel if your mother removed all your potential because you were a consequence of rape? But in all honesty, I believe you're not looking at the big picture. But I'm not going to get into that so much, because I feel like that's the danger zone, and that's where things get a bit messy. So let's just fade from that a bit. Abortion is also an option for people to take when they are faced in a situation where literally giving birth will put them in so much danger that it could actually kill the mother. And I think it is very easy for people to say, why don't you just have the baby and give it up for adoption? Like, that's always an option. Once again, seeing the big picture, I don't think those people realise how many children there are up for adoption and how many homeless kids there are that would die for a family, for a home, just for any sign of love and stability. And I believe if we did live in a world where we no longer have that option, we're going to be technically forcing mothers to give birth to a child that they will grow to neglect, abuse. And I'm not assuming that, but that there are a lot of cases where women have been forced to have a baby because of, I don't know, other reasons. But would people rather that? I don't know. In regards to what's going on in the news at the moment about what I was saying earlier, lowering the amount of weeks pregnant you can be to have an abortion, I feel that it is very important to mention here. It's a very difficult decision to make. It's one of the biggest decisions most women will face in their lives, but it is one I would hugely recommend to make as soon as possible, and to not wait too long to make that decision, because not only is that when things get more difficult because you're further down the line, the procedure is going to be more difficult for you to go ahead with. And just because I'm sat here and saying that I think that people should still have that choice, it doesn't mean that I think that people should wait until the very last amount of time they're able to make that choice. I believe that we have this privilege to have that option, so we shouldn't abuse it, and we should make sure that we don't take a ridiculous amount of time to make that decision. But that being said, like everything else I've spoken about in this video, if we take away that privilege, we're going to be faced with consequences, like women who don't realise they're pregnant until they're further down the line. There are a lot of cases where people don't realise they are pregnant until they are weeks and weeks and weeks down the line, and that can put us in a situation where if that woman was faced with this pregnancy because of any of those things I mentioned earlier, how is it fair that they're not able to have that privilege too? I understand why they're trying to do it, I get why they're trying to lower that, but like banning it completely, lowering it will also come with a lot of consequences. It's a difficult topic. It's a topic that I don't really fancy talking about too long, but it's one that I wanted to cover. I'd like to know what you guys think, but at the same time I'm a little bit worried about what you guys think. So do share your thoughts, but remember to be kind and considerate. Consider the people reading, and share the love, you know? Be cool. So thank you for watching, guys. I will see you for my next video, which will hopefully be a little bit more cheery than this one. But if you're subscribed, you'll be seeing that in your subscription boxes. For now, follow me on social media and you can stay updated. See you soon. Bye.